Hello, my name is Jacob Philbrook. I'm in a group with Sachin, Ballam, and Harish, and this is our analysis project. We're looking at sales call acknowledgement. So this data set comes from my employer, Global Volunteers, a nonprofit international community development organization. It was founded in 1983, been in operation for over 35 years. At Global Volunteers, we have salespersons, and they make calls to potential customers. The customers are people that have given Global Volunteers their information and have agreed to be contacted. These salespersons have a daily quota of calls to make. When the call that they make is received by a person, it is recorded as acknowledged, and salespersons want to have the most acknowledgments possible. So what we're looking at here is what are the significant variables for a phone call to result in an acknowledgement, and can acknowledgement be predicted? So our data set consists of 3 separate tables from the data system at Global Volunteers that have to be joined together to create the data set. The first table is the CRM call result records. In this table, each record is an attempt by a salesperson to call a customer. If the customer picks up the phone, it is an acknowledgement. CRM person records, in this table, each record is a customer in the database that has been called at least once. This file contains the birth date, gender, address, inquiry date, phone numbers, and other relevant personal data. And then the third table is VoIP logs. In this table, each row is a phone call in or out of the phone system. This data set is divided by month and contains a mix of relevant and irrelevant data. So we first had to join the data, the 3 tables together. For this, we used Azure. And we joined tables based on, in some cases, primary keys. In other cases, we had to create a foreign key between stuff like due dates and phone numbers. Also, because what we're looking at here, one of the independent variables is the time of day that the call was made. Global Volunteers is based in the central time zone, and all of the salespersons are making calls from that central time zone. However, they're calling across the United States, and so the time of day when the call is being made can vary based on time zone. So we decided to control for this by using zip code and then mapping zip code to time zone. Then we also had to do some data cleaning. We removed duplicates. We removed null values for key data such as phone number, age, gender, call time. And we ended up having to adjust for some skewness, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So this is a look at the full Azure model that was run on the full data set. We were testing 2 models, logistic regression and decision tree. This is the result of the logistic regression. First thing that kind of jumps out at you is this accuracy. It's important to note that in the full data set, the split between true and false, acknowledged and not acknowledged, true being acknowledged, the split there was 80% false, 20% true. And this accuracy combined with the confusion matrix here, you can see that the model is basically just predicting false. It's only guessing true 4 times. So it's not very good. If we look here at the decision tree, we now start to get some more actual positive guesses, even though the majority of predictions are false. The accuracy drops and the precision drops when we do that. So at this point, our team was kind of wondering what we were going to do, how we were going to approach, because our models were basically just predicting false. And we thought we might try taking some of the skewness out of the response variable, which is acknowledgement, true, false. We took a data set that has a perfectly even 50-50 split between true and false on the response variable, the acknowledgement. We ran it through the the Azure model that we had, and we didn't get much of a response. We didn't get a good result, but we also ran that modified 50/50 data set through a SAS model, and we were able to find something interesting. So this is the confusion matrix for the best model we were able to come up with, which was a decision tree. And here we see that it is actually predicting positives a lot more than any of the other models. And even though there is, quite a bit of inaccuracy here, if you look at the actual decision tree that results, we get some interesting, we can make an interesting conclusion here. So what it is splitting on here, well, first of all, let me just show you that the train and the validation's perfect 50/50 split on this. So we've tried to remove the skewness in the response variable. So it found that the adjusted call hour was the most significant variable. And what this is it is the time of day for the person who's receiving the call. That's the adjusted part. So it's been adjusted for time zone. The time of day when they receive the call as measured on a 24-hour time scale. So if we look here, this 14.5 is actually 2:30 in the afternoon. And this 15.5 is 3:30 in the afternoon. And what we see is that at 2:30 in the afternoon or earlier, we see that the trues, the acknowledged, are actually 73% acknowledged and 26% not acknowledged. So 73% true, 73% acknowledged, which is a significant increase over the standard 50/50. And then if we look here at 3:30, we kind of get a flip here where we get better than 50/50, saying that no, it's not going to be an acknowledgement. I think it's important to point out here that the purpose of this analysis is to determine what time of day is best to call, not whether you should call or not. So even though the accuracy may not be as good as you might want, this is actually presenting some relevant information that can then actually be used to influence business processes. Then finally, we did find one other thing. We wanted to look at the actual day of the week that the call was being made. This analysis is based on the model's test data prediction at the score model node. And what we find is that the highest call volume is on Tuesday, but in fact, the best response rate, the best proportion of true to false actually happens on a Friday with a more middle of the road call volume. So that is our analysis and findings, and thank you very much.